The sex trafficking thing is a serious thing, you know, boy.
Sex trafficking?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was only human trafficking it have.
But what do you mean?
No serious thing, boy. Where you get that from? I don't know about human trafficking, you don't know about sex trafficking.
So how can you spot and identify perpetrators and children who are victims of trafficking? Many victims who are children do not look like under 18 years old. Child victims often move escorted around alone or in small groups. They also live in shared and even packed rooms and have very little clothing and belongings. Child victims are often seen with adults who are not their parents, their relatives, or their caregivers. Migrant children are often unaccompanied and separated from their parents. Child victims are often engaged in work that is not suitable for children. They are often deprived of their freedom to go to school, to play, and to enjoy being a child. Perpetrators have unexplained sources of income and possessions. They are businessmen and businesswomen running legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Perpetrators may appear to be the victim's friend, boyfriend, close relative, or employer.
We are the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Hey, Cappy, talk to you now, boy. I got a small work for you to do. Make a quick 10 G's. What you gonna do for me?
10 G's? What's that you want to do there, boy?
What you doing? Taking your boat, run up the islands, pick up some people and then bring them back here for me. That's all you have to do.
That sounds like human trafficking, boy. That's a serious crime. I can't make that.
Trafficking in human beings is a serious violation of a person's human rights. It violates a person's right to freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and freedom of identity. It is a heinous crime which affects local, regional, and international peace and security. A victim of human trafficking is subjected to many types of abuse. The crime destroys a person's dignity and self-worth. Victims often feel hopeless, are suicidal, and are stigmatized in their communities. Child victims are deprived of their rights to education, play, and social interactions. They are essentially robbed of their childhood, and that can never be regained once those years have passed. If we do little or nothing to fight against human trafficking in our country, we can face economic sanctions from international agencies and partners. Our country will be losing money. Doing little or nothing to fight against human trafficking will tarnish our country's international image and, most of all, the value we place on human life. Human trafficking is no respecter of persons. Anyone can be a victim. So let us all strive to safeguard human life and dignity in Trinidad and Tobago.
We are the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Calling all young voices. Calling all young voices. The Ministry of National Security Counter-Trafficking Unit presents Voices Against Human Trafficking, a spoken word competition in commemoration of World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2024. We invite all secondary school students, forms 2 to 4, across Trinidad and Tobago to join the fight with your powerful words. Submit your 5-minute spoken word pieces by Friday, June 7th, 5 p.m. Top prizes include an iPhone 15, iPad Air, and Beats headset. Plus, there's also a People's Choice Award. Submissions should be in video format, accompanied by a written script sent to countertraffickingunit@gmail.com. Let's raise our voices and ensure no child is left behind. For more information, contact the CTU at 627-1339. Approved by the Ministry of Education.
This Sunday on episode 21 of Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography.
He started his journey as a prison officer in 1988. After 36 years of service, his journey is about to end.
There are persons in our society who communicate illegally with the inmates. I caution the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, do not engage in any sort of illegal transaction with inmates within the system.
This Sunday, Garth and Natasha welcome Acting Commissioner of Prisons, Deopersad Ramoutar. But he's not coming alone. How does he evaluate his tenure as a prison officer and as a commissioner? What were his challenges and achievements? Listen live from 10 a.m. on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. Courtesy the Counter-Trafficking Unit, Ministry of National Security. We don't just share stories. We change lives.
Listen, the national anthem should reflect a nation's people. We all must feel passion and pride. Nobody walking around, nobody sitting. Patriotism must rise up like high tide. Like a national call to war, it should raise everybody's pause and unite every living soul under one common cause. It's not too late for revision. Given all that I have outlined, we change the Trinity Cross, the anthem could redesign. Tell me now, side by side we stand. Then stop playing the fool. The national anthem for a country is a serious national tool. Tag every creed and race, provide an equal pay. We have to love each other despite the genetic pool. In TNT, we only fighting down each other. Remember, a house divided will never stand. At some point, we must all gather around the table and show the world a modern nation in command. We may be forced from the love of liberty. I feel GB could write a better anthem for we.
Every day, something new is happening around the world. I-95.5 explains what is going on. We analyze the facts to tell you the truth. We report all sides so you can better understand what really happened. We often take sides on the major issues of politics and society, with a goal in moving policies and events in what we think is the best direction for the country. Informative. Innovative. Intriguing. I-95.5 FM, the most influential name in radio.
This is reality radio at its best. Eye on Dependency on I-95.5 FM.
This Sunday on episode 21 of Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography.
He started his journey as a prison officer in 1988. After 36 years of service, his journey is about to end.
There are persons in our society who communicate illegally with the inmates. I caution the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, do not engage in any sort of illegal transaction with inmates within the system.
This Sunday, Garth and Natasha welcome Acting Commissioner of Prisons, Deopersad Ramoutar. But he's not coming alone. How does he evaluate his tenure as a prison officer and as a commissioner? What were his challenges and achievements? Listen live from 10 a.m. on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the I on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. I on Dependency. Courtesy the Counter-Trafficking Unit, Ministry of National Security. We don't just share stories. We change lives. On I-95.5 FM.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Dependency, right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. This morning, we have in studio with us none other than the illustrious, the man who everybody knew he served, and he's still serving. A man who, questioned decisions and put his foot down when he had to. And, he takes no prisoners. Pardon the pun. Please join us, our Independency family, in welcoming Acting Commissioner of Prisons, Mr. Deopersad Ramoutar. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning and welcome to our Independency. We have the, I wouldn't say arduous, because I'm sure this conversation is going to be an easy one, but the pleasant task of doing an exclusive interview with the acting commissioner as he's about to depart this very important position in the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about his own career in the prison service, why he decided to join, how he managed to stay in this career for so long, what was it about the prison service that allowed him to flourish and to rise in the ranks to the position of commissioner. And then we have some very special guests that we will welcome into the studio about quarter to the hour, and you will hear from them what they make of the commissioner's tenure. But again, welcome to the studios of I-95 and to I-Independency.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Hi, good morning, Garth. Good morning, Natasha. Good morning to your listenership and viewership. Good morning to all prison officers. And eventually, good morning to the inmates who will be listening to the program. I am the one who's honored to be here on your program. Your program is very popular among a large majority of the nation's citizenry. And it's honored to be here. You deal with topics that nobody else can deal with or are afraid to touch. Or if they do decide to touch it, they just touch the surface. You guys go deep.
Yes.
And you pull out emotions, and it's real talk, real situation. So I'm honored. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So it has been a very long week, especially for us and prison service and all that, early this morning to now, and we're still going, and we thank God for life. So, Commissioner, I met you at Rise Maximum Radio. That's when at first I was introduced to the Commissioner. But you started way, way, way before that. And tell us where did Commissioner Deopersad, because I'm sure they will never forget you. I'm sure that. But where did it all begin for you? Where were you born, grew up, and when you decided to make your way to Port of Spain to join the prison service?
Right. It's a long story. Sure we have time?
We do.
as succinct as you can.
All right. Let me see. I'm a simple guy. From humble beginnings, good parenting background, good family life. So I suppose I'm fortunate. Having finished school, academically my results weren't good enough. That was just 2 level passes. When I compare that to my friends, my close friends who I used to line with, they got their 5 levels. So that was somewhat disappointing to me. I was telling myself, hey, you don't see it out. Talking to myself. But
which secondary school was this?
Faizabad Intermediate.
Okay.
But it's known now as Faizabad Anglican.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I wasn't done yet. I had a lot of common sense. I was pretty, smart, witty. I know that. So it kind of confused me how come it didn't reflect in my academics. And my friends got the results they wanted. So I told myself, you see this thing, I'll give it one more try. So I went back and repeated in school. And hey presto, I got 3 levels. But hey presto again, it was the same 2 I had from before. So I ended up at 3 levels. Then I said my neighbors is repair vehicles as a hobby, so that had intrigued my interest. So I decided, look, I like mechanics, auto and diesel mechanics. I'll go into that. So I went and learned trade at, I'll say Petrotrin for those the younger folks who wouldn't know what Tesoro is. But same company, but they named Tesoro. At that point in time, they had an apprenticeship program where you can learn whatever trade you want. I focus on mechanics, auto and diesel. But I was a kind of inquisitive guy, so I used to break away and go to all the other trade shops, so I learned all the trades. But officially, I learned auto and diesel only. So I entered in mechanics. I work with Dan Steel, La Romaine. I work Ramco Industries. And I worked Shawgain down at Southland Mall there. My father had always said, if you get a government job, that's good. You'll have, steady income and benefits and so on. For some reason, I'd like for me to get into the police service. And they said, hey, you could go in the police service and do mechanics. So I said, right. I tried for the police service on 3 occasions, reaching final interview and never getting through to the final interview. One of the main reasons is that at those interviews, I used to be nervous. I used to be overly prepared, overly hyped up. I know my parents praying for me home for the pass this interview. So all that anxiety and pressure on me to do well in the interview, only to sit in the interview and be dumb, not knowing what to say. Full of anxiety. So that was my big point in those interviews. So I was working with Ramco Industries. I came out for the prison service. I didn't know much about the prison service except I had a friend, Mukesh, who used to come by me and repair vehicles. So tell me, the prison service, come and try it out, man, and you'll get in the garage and thing. And so that's all the experience I had about prison. So I went, I tried for prison, I was successful. Well, the
first time?
First time. Yeah. 7,000 people applied.
Wow.
And they only wanted 50. So I went to the final interview. Not caring for the job, not really wanting the job. I was my normal self at the interview, and I think I answered some of the questions kind of mannish, and that was the secret.
How old were you at that point?
I would have been 22.
22.
Yeah, 22 years old. Already married and have 2 children.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so so I got through the interview, and I came into the prison service, and I worked as a normal officer at Port of Spain prison. Then I really got into the garage to work, but the garage they were low performing. What I know about working in a garage outside, well, that's 35 years ago. I believe that they were too slow, too inefficient, and they weren't ready for me. So I went back to work on the lines, as we call it, among inmates.
Well, what did you make of, let's say, your first 6 months to a year serving there? What did you make of it? What did you think about the environment and what was being tasked of you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, strange enough, I'm a people person. And people I tend to be able to adapt to any environment, adapt to the social gathering that I'm in. Inmates, well, I joke around a lot. I suppose inmates, so they could touch base with me, and I didn't have a problem at all working with inmates. I enjoyed working with them. I enjoyed having conversation, and I could have easily controlled them just with my words. That got me into looking at the welfare department in the prison service, and I went on to qualify myself in counseling. I did get into the welfare department, and there I pursued my tertiary education. But that little phobia of thinking I'm not good at academics was in the back of my mind. But when I applied myself to anything I would like to do, I excel.
Commissioner, before we press on, let's go back a bit. You said something very significant, and I would like to elaborate. The time you joined the prison service, prison officers were described as turnkey, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And there was a mindset that anybody who walked through those gates, innocent or guilty, they
for the high jump.
They deem this scum of the earth. Let's just put it that way, especially back in the day, right?
Yes.
But what made you look at your charges differently? That because once they saw what you did, you ended up in welfare, how you responded and treated with the inmates. What made you look at it like that, or look at the inmates like that?
Yeah, well, I reflected on that same question, the answer to that question, and I came off the street, so to speak. As a mechanic, you mix with person at the ground level. You go out when those companies I work on, when you go there to fix a vehicle, lie down on the ground, fixing vehicle, you want to lunch, eating your food under a truck. When you finish, you're a grease monkey. You mix with all drivers, lorrymen, fellow mechanics, where Pekong and Old Talk and the name of the days. So I was comfortable with persons in that environment. Having a good family background, having good family values kept me on the right path. So that environment that I spoke about, there a lot of negativity in there. But family values, the main ingredient, would have kept me on the right path, not getting anything wrongdoing. So it was easy for me to identify the inmates when they speak, where they came from, hearing the jargon. So I was comfortable working among them.
Okay.
What I didn't like was, the smell and so on at the beginning. But you get used to it.
The environment, you mean?
Yes, in prison.
Yeah.
When we visit the zoo, there's an awful smell from the animals, right? I am told that the sweat and perspiration of human beings is the worst of all. But we don't feel it. We don't see it in the prison. person coming to the prison for the first time tell us, all you get a smell, something that smell remain in your uniform, in your clothes.
Yes. And it's a smell you can't forget. I remember the first time I went in there as well. It's something that is unique to that environment.
So imagine having to live with it and
exactly.
But,
and work in that environment.
The sweat and everything stays in that concrete. You could scrub it how many times?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I gravitated to my job immediately. So it wasn't an issue for me really, God. I know I'm here. I enjoy what I'm doing, and I need to qualify myself. Well, I could tell you about qualify myself in a little bit. I used to still do mechanic at home while working in the prison, and sometimes you're asked to work at night, so you get a little extra time home to do your, let me say, PG as they call it. Then an inmate by the name of Godson Neptune, he was in the condemned division. He's deceased now.
Yes.
He was the CEO of West Indian Tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of those high-profile persons long ago, an African man. So you find being wealthy and high status for an African man was scarce at those point in time. But he wasn't condemned, and he, well, I can't say immediately, but he started to follow me in advice and things and so on.
For those of you who are just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, of course, and we are speaking with Acting Commissioner of Prison, Deopersad Ramoutar, and he's just touching on one of the inmates who he met with. And to remind you, Godson Neptune was, as he said, CEO of West Indian Tobacco at the time. And the reason he ended up in prison was he started, of course, using cocaine, and he, well, that's the story we got, that he mistook his wife for a snake on the bed, and he dealt her some chops, and that landed him in prison.
And he also was one of the founding inmates in Rise Maximum Radio. He was one of those inmates that was among the group of workers at the prison radio station.
Yes, Commissioner. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So he used to tell me, he said, Mr. Ramoutar, you have to study here, You have to qualify yourself. Otherwise you wouldn't rise up the ranks. So I took his advice, and I signed up for evening classes. I got my 5 levels, and then I decided to go further, and I qualified myself. I'm pretty okay now. I have a degree in social work, minor in HRM, minor in psychology, advanced diploma in sports psychology, and master's in mediation studies. Why I choose to mention my qualifications, it would have been the game changer for me, or for the prison service, in that I think all my predecessors, commissioners, would have been highly qualified in security. I am qualified in security, but highly qualified in people, the social sciences. And I think that has been an asset for me, and I still think it is the way to go for leaders of the prison service, to be very qualified and competent in understanding a human being, how they think, what caused them to behave how they would behave. And I'm not speaking about inmates, I'm thinking about human beings. So you can better manage your staff and of course manage the inmates with those qualifications and skills. So I credit Godson Neptune in the prison service and inmate, and maybe in some strange way I am giving back.
It's so what should use the word, noble, that you would actually give a past inmate some credit for your development inside the prison service. That I'm sure you would not get, we could count on one hand, how many officers passing through the prison service could actually say that publicly. And, I want to commend you on that. That's really noble of you to do that. And I hope his family is listening and feel proud to know that he played a part in your development. So, but Commissioner, you rose through the ranks. How long did it take you to reach where you are today? Because you spent 33 is...
Well, 35 plus.
35 plus years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, from a prison officer one, I went on to become a welfare officer. I worked there for about 10 years, and that allowed me to really, really work with inmates and visit their homes, do my counseling, do my social work with the inmates, bring them back to a state of readiness. And that's where I think a lot of inmates give me credit for who can remember me. And that's why I developed my people skills too, even further. Then I went to court in being the first welfare officer to challenge the system, and I wanted to go back in uniform.
It's from since then?
Yes. Yeah, so the authorities then had said, no, you cannot write the supervisor exam. Let's write a P2 exam, but nice water on the bridge. I won that matter, so I then became a supervisor, and then eventually through the ranks, supervisor, ASP, superintendent, and well, for the past 8 years, I was acting in the higher ranks, remaining at a superintendent, until just recently, a few months ago, I was promoted to senior superintendent. So I did all my challenges and so on as a superintendent. I hold the accolades of being maybe the only public servant to be acting 4 ranks higher than their substantive rank, being the commissioner. Since I'm speaking about myself, and maybe there are listeners there who would probably pull something from my life story, I will mention something. In school, the primary school, I experienced bullying, being a victim. And at secondary school, I decided to stop that, to stop people from doing that. And I fought back. That's just me. And when I fought back, the bullying stopped. And that caused me to get into the sport of boxing, where I developed my self-esteem. I developed, self-respect, valuing yourself and all that. And those skills and competence I learned in the sport, I practiced it in my career, and it has been beneficial to me.
Well, Commissioner, let's take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that, because the challenges, you rose to several challenges, and you fought back. So it really reflected in your service, and we will talk about that when you return, because I mean it's about 2 or 3 times you stepped into the ring, let me say, so to speak, with against the public service and or the people in charge of, I could say. So if you're just joining us, thank you very much. And then we have some guests that the commissioner brought with him that you're going to hear from them in a while. I'm really excited to hear from them as well. But you're listening to Dependency. Remember, you can join us on Facebook and YouTube, EYEON Dependency. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to both channels. So we take a break, and when we return, we continue with Deopersad Ramoutar, Commissioner of Prisons.
And don't forget to listen out for the ad in the break about the spoken word competition for forms
2 to 4.
2 to 4.
You hear it in the promo, but
put on by the counter trafficking unit.
Yes, if you have a child who's been bugging you for an iPhone 15 and iPad and all of that, well, hear what? If they have a talent, they can now submit their entries to the counter trafficking unit. There's a spoken word competition for secondary schools. All right, so listen to the promo, and we'll talk about that a bit when we return to as well. But listen to it carefully, and your child would probably win that iPhone that they're bugging you for. So you have the email address in the promo and the number to call. You all start today, because you know how many secondary schools we have in Trinidad and Tobago. So please try and get there first and start bombarding that CTU office with your email and phone and start practicing your spoken word communication. We go to a break, we'll be back. Stay right there.
Calling all young voices. Calling all young voices. The Ministry of National Security Counter-Trafficking Unit presents Voices Against Human Trafficking, a spoken word competition in commemoration of World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2024. We invite all secondary school students, forms 2 to 4, across Trinidad and Tobago to join the fight with your powerful words. Submit your 5-minute spoken word pieces by Friday, June 7th, 5 p.m. Top prizes include an iPhone 15, iPad Air, and Beats headset. Plus, there's also a People's Choice Award. Submissions should be in video format, accompanied by a written script. Sent to countertraffickingunit@gmail.com. Let's raise our voices and ensure no child is left behind. For more information, contact the CTU at 627-1339. Approved by the Ministry of Education.
The sex trafficking thing is a serious thing, you know, boy.
Sex trafficking? I thought it was only human trafficking it have.
But what do you mean?
No serious thing, boy. Where you get that from? I don't know about human trafficking, not about sex trafficking.
So how can you spot and identify perpetrators and children who are victims of trafficking? Many victims who are children do not look like under 18 years old. Child victims often move escorted around alone or in small groups. They also live in shared and even packed rooms and have very little clothing and belongings. Child victims are often seen with adults who are not their parents, their relatives, or their caregivers. Migrant children are often unaccompanied and separated from their parents. Child victims are often engaged in work that is not suitable for children. They are often deprived of their freedom to go to school, to play, and to enjoy being a child. Perpetrators have unexplained sources of income and possessions. They are businessmen and businesswomen running legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Perpetrators may appear to be the victim's friend, boyfriend, close relative, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Ion Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Dependency with Garth and Natasha. Sundays at 6:15 p.m. on the most influential name in radio, I-95.5 FM.
With us, and we apologize for that misinformation. There we are Sundays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, and in studio with us we have none other than Mr. Deopersad Ramoutar, Commissioner of Prisons, who is taking us through his journey to the chair here that he's sitting in today. So Commissioner, yes, so the challenges, some of the challenges.
Right, so I think when I stop, I mentioned I'm getting into sports and I'm going to help me build my character in regards to self-esteem and so on.
Right.
So I put a pin when I was speaking before. I come back to as a welfare officer and then back into the ranks. I think the resilience, learning sports, and the challenges in life coming through would have allowed me to keep the faith, to hold on strong, and focus on what you want. I wanted to make a difference in the prison service. In my younger days, I still look at some decisions being made at the supervisor level and even higher than that. And I used to think at that time that this can be done more smartly. And maybe someday I can get a chance to make a difference. And well, when I didn't get that chance, I started to do things differently. Sometimes it was kind of outrageous. People didn't understand, but at the end of the day, it showed that it worked. What I was doing was working. So let me speak when I became commissioner now. I told myself I needed to use my skill set in the social sciences to push the service in that direction. Security, we had security lockdown. Security, you can open any textbook, any literature, and know exactly how to secure a prison. Proper fences, cameras, firearms, protective equipment, gates, locks, everything functioning. That's black and white issue. And that's easy to do. Just give me some money and we'll fix security. You see, changing a human being, behavior modification, making a person who has been broken, healing them again. That's no exact formula to do that. People are dynamic and they are different. No two person is the same. So what you use for one person may not work for the other. So that was a challenge. Pushing the prison into rehabilitation, a stronger push. I mean, we have that on our literature, but it cannot just be superficial. I had to go in there and get this thing to work. So I said, I want to push this. So we need to have my officers thinking differently. And that's where my challenge really became. You can't just go after the inmates and say, well, look, we want to rehabilitate you or do activities that we call programs and expect that alone to work. We, the officers who are dispensing these programs, we, the officers who are working closely, shoulder to shoulder with the inmates, they have to see something in us to want to be like us. And you get a better result. So it means speaking a different language. It would have meant being very harsh on officers who are totally resistant to this. Pull them out of the obstacle race and work with those who were eager to understand this new way forward. For the staff, every month we had workshops for the program officers to learn skills, anger management, critical thinking, all the subjects that to have a socially dysfunctional person back in order again. We are lecturing and teaching to officers, and we got officers to do it too, so we are saving money. We didn't have to have a large amount of outside person to come and do this training, and that is still ongoing. We have broken men and women coming to our system from the courts, and we have some broken men and women who are in uniform that are staff have to heal and treat with them. So we need to treat with the staff also. And we can do it simultaneously. Now, I got a lot of criticism for, it was seen as though if I criticizing my staff. But I'm not criticizing my staff, I'm empowering my staff. I'm identifying our strengths and weaknesses. The strength that we have as regards to foreign prisons, we work closely with inmates physically. We are in there in the environment. So we have 2 officers would be in charge of 50 to 100 inmates at times to take them out of the cells and put them back in. And if we don't have that understanding and that relationship and the cooperation of the inmates, it will not work. And I keep harping and saying that the prison can only run smoothly with the cooperation of the inmates. How can you get the cooperation of the inmates? You have to treat them in a particular way. The choice of words you use, the tone of your language to encourage inmates to respect you. One of the downfalls that we do in the prison is we have a high yardstick or measurement for the inmates. Sometimes we use the yardstick we use for ourselves, which is unfair for the inmate. The inmate didn't come from a good background like us. So when I'm just saying, when an inmate insults you or use obscene language, you don't quickly react to that. It's not like another colleague is saying that to you. You have to forgive him for that, and hope that by the way you respond to that, he of his own would feel remorseful of that, and maybe apologize to you on the next day. And it has happened. It has happened to me. My experience has been that many times.
That's a good point. Right? Commissioner.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I wanted to interject just to say that I think that approach in terms of not just respecting the humanity of the prisoners, but empowering, that's the word you use, empowering the officers to do that, to respect these people's humanity, because regardless of what crime they have committed, they are in your care, under your supervision, for a reason.
And not only that, Natasha, remember, Natasha and I have visited a number of prisons, 8 in the UK alone, all right? And everywhere you go, it's almost like a brand of fast food. You get the same brand everywhere, which means they address the inmates there as Mr. Or so. It's a fact, right? And if they disrespect a prisoner, that prisoner has the opportunity to write, put it in a Dropbox, because there are forms, and they could
make a complaint.
A prisoner could take a prison officer in front of a tribunal or in front of a board where we visited. But do you see that? How far away we are from that?
We are very far away from that.
I know. I mean, I'm just asking, because I know we are. Because, like I said, you call them a racial term, you curse them, you do everything, because we're talking about correction officers, right? So, which means we have to try and move to corrections first before, you know, and that is an ideal. That is not just a word that you change.
And that would require some change outside of the prison as well, so that society understands that these are people who have failed, but they are still deserving of their dignity.
Yes. There are certain tenets that is the foundation for goodness or good behavior. And you must have a value system. And if you are fortunate, you'll have got that value system from your family while growing up. If you didn't get that there, then we at the prison service have to provide that for you. You didn't get it anywhere else. So I said, how can I capture the hearts and the minds of the inmates? And I said that they need to interact with their families more often. They need to interact with their families in a more intimate, meaningful way. So basically, when a guy in the traditional nuclear family, when a guy works hard from home, he comes home, he wants to get a nice cooked meal to the woman who is the house, who is the homekeeper or at home. So I decided, let the family bring a home cooked meal for the inmate. And I phrased it as a picnic style family visit.
Did you get any pushback for that?
Yes. But the pushback has stopped, and officers and inmates embrace that, right? Because the traditional thinking was that when food comes from the outside, if an inmate should be poisoned or get sick, the state culpable or liable for not protecting the inmate from that harm. So it was a calculated risk in that I don't think family members who you want to come to see you, who through visits and so on with your track record, are your family, would want to poison you. So I took that risk, and it's working. So the inmates have psychologically, they are so appreciative of that that their behavior has improved. That privilege of that type of visit, that's not an entitlement. Our 1838 Act describes what a visit is about. But the family style visit is a privilege that you have to earn that, and you will earn that by good behavior in the prison among cellmates and the staff, and it's working. We have another a visit we call to visit sick and dying relatives. There were many inmates, gangsters who everybody loves their mother, or grandmother, because that's the one who would have brought them up, dying in a bed, and I would allow them to go and visit that person. When they came back to the prison, they were only full of appreciation. That would have never happened. But I knew the power of touching the inmates emotionally. And it has worked, it is working. And so while I work with the officers, I work with the inmates. I was the founder of a mediation unit in the service where we deal with conflict management. I'm the co-founder of the chaplaincy unit. There's a gentleman, a retired prison officer too, Anselm Spring. God, you would know him.
Yes.
With the radio station.
The original.
Yeah, he had brought the idea for a chaplaincy unit that is for officers only. Pastor Parks, they were trying to get that off the ground for the longest while. When I heard about it, I didn't buy too much into it. Then I started to read up on it and realize the benefits in it. And it happened under my watch, not as a commissioner, but even before that as assistant commissioner. So we now have a chaplaincy unit. Those are officers who have their high religious background in their faith. So a pundit, a priest, and an imam to administer spiritual guidance to officers only, because the inmates already have that through our rules and regulation. So God, as a commissioner, I have been able to use emotions, to put a handle on emotions to the inmates. I have strong power and influence over the inmates. I don't have that amount of control over the staff because I have gotten pushback. I try to maintain discipline. To my opinion, officers who are unruly, have unruly beard, unruly hairstyle, and forgive me, I don't want to define unruly. I mean, what is inappropriate for an officer on duty will be quite appropriate for when you're outside, you're socializing. So I'm only speaking about your dress code, how you should look as a prison officer. Standards were dropping. I tried to maintain that standards, and I was taken to court for that. The court spoke on the matter. But that will not deter me from maintaining standards in my personal life and in the prison. I just have to do the best I can and push for that discipline that is so needed. We as officers must be the role model that the inmate didn't have or had the wrong type of role model. Somebody has to be strong enough. Somebody has to be willing to be unpopular for the right thing. And as commissioner, I fought for this, I didn't say, nah, I want it, or somebody pushed me there. No. I went and fought for this, and I have the chair. And just like in my schooling days, when I focus on what I want, I achieve it. And coming to today's now 2 weeks again for my retirement, I am happy with my performance. There's nothing that I would change if I had the opportunity to change that I would have done since my 2 years, 2 months. I would have done everything exactly.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and you are listening to the unmistakable voice of Mr. Deopersad Ramoutar, who's acting commissioner of prison. And as you heard, he just said 2 weeks again before he marks out for the last time. But when we go to a break, and when we return, we want to elaborate on that part of it. I also want to talk about. Sorry. Yes. Thank you, Shortman. Yes. For those of you who just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and you're listening to the unmistakable voice of Commissioner Deopersad Ramoutar, who you just heard him say he has 2 weeks again before he marks out for the last time. But before we go to the break, just to let you know, again, you have a child in secondary school, please listen to this promo coming up. You have a chance to win an iPhone and so on, courtesy of the Counter Trafficking Unit, Ministry of National Security. There's a spoken word competition coming up. And we have a lot of young spoken word artists in school. This is your time to shine, your time to lend your voice to human trafficking issues. So please, listen to the promo, get the information, the email address, especially if you're online, you can look at it, copy it, and the phone number. When we return, we want to talk, Commissioner, about the prison service. It's the prison, the institution itself, the infrastructure, and what you, presided over. What recommendations would you have, especially for Port of Spain? Because you see what happened in Port of Spain just recently, and the prison system on a whole. We know for us to move forward, society thinks that when we ask for better prison conditions, it's for the prisoners alone. But your prison officers have to work there too. And the conditions will suit them as well. You'll keep them happy, and happy living and working conditions contributes to a happy environment, right?
Happy outcomes
and
as well.
So,
and I would like the Commissioner as well to speak to that unique position that the prison is in as an institution between the law enforcement side of it, the criminal justice side of it, and how did you as a commissioner see your role in that triangle, so to speak, and coupled as well with the physical environment that you had to manage.
All right, so let's go to that break. We'll be back. Stay right there.
This is Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha. Sundays at 6:15 p.m. on the most influential name in radio, I-95.5 FM. Calling all young voices. Calling all young voices. The Ministry of National Security Counter Trafficking Unit presents Voices Against Human Trafficking, a spoken word competition in commemoration of World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2024. We invite all secondary school students, forms 2 to 4 across Trinidad and Tobago to join the fight with your powerful words. Submit your 5-minute spoken word pieces by Friday, June 7th, 5 p.m. Top prizes include an iPhone 15, iPad Air, and Beats headset. Plus, there's also a People's Choice Award. Submissions should be in video format, accompanied by a written script sent to countertraffickingunit@gmail.com. Let's raise our voices and ensure no child is left behind. For more information, contact the CTU at 627-1339. Approved by the Ministry of Education.
Cappy, talk to you now, boy. Got a small work for you to do. You make a quick 10 G's. What you gonna do for me?
10 G's? What's that how I do this, boy?
What you doing? Taking your boat, run up the islands, pick up some people and then bring them back here for me. That's all you have to do.
That's something like human trafficking, boy. That's a serious crime. I can't make that.
Trafficking in human beings is a serious violation of a person's human rights. It violates a person's right to freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and freedom of identity. It is a heinous crime which affects local, regional, and international peace and security. A victim of human trafficking is subjected to many types of abuse. The crime destroys a person's dignity and self-worth. Victims often feel hopeless, are suicidal, and are stigmatized in their communities. Child victims are deprived of their rights to education, play, and social interaction.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. And you're listening to Independency right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Independency Facebook page and YouTube channel. In studio with us is Acting Commissioner of Prisons, Mr. Deopersad Ramoutar, who is taking us through his mind as now the man in charge of the prison service and what he intends to leave as he's about to make his exit as a serving member.
So as we were discussing before the break, Commissioner, what do you make of the physical conditions of our prisons? What have you been able to change or improve during your tenure, and what would you like to see going forward?
All right. Garth, Natasha, prison conditions are not the best to what they should be. However, they are better than they were before. They are better we have better ventilation. We have floors that have been tiled. We have buildings that have been repainted. We have stepped up in hygiene. We no longer have pests and vermin that we had before. We have cooking utensils, infrastructure, improvement in those areas. You see, there's a particular format to request and ask for things that you need. But we don't, in prison, as a commissioner, I don't have control of the resources given to me. But I wouldn't twiddle my thumbs and wait for resources to come. I have to take what I have and make the best out of it. And making the best out of it means having your staff to tolerate what we have, having the inmates to understand and tolerate what we have too. If or when the inmates understand that, hey, the prison officers are doing their best, all the amenities that we had outside, we cannot have it in prison, then it's a whole mindset of being more accommodating than to be riotous. Let me use that word. So, in speaking about the prison conditions, yes, we work towards improving. We always have that agenda as regards to expanding and so on. But what we have is a maintenance sector that has to work. So when things break down, we have tradesmen, we have, and we do have funding for maintenance. I don't think we will ever have a prison that up to par. And what does a par mean? I think we can always ask for better condition. If we compare with first world countries, we are far away from that. Because being a small island, there are so many other things that monies have to be spent on: schooling, hospitals, education, food, farming, agriculture, so on. So I think one of the main thing with the facilities of a prison service is to, as a manager, do what you can to acquire better resources, make your recommendation, do your proposal, but make the best of what you have. Find something good to focus on so that you don't come to work every day feeling down and depressed and so on, but something forward to look forward to so that when you come to work, you're happy about your job. I gave a little talk session to some officers recently, and I have done that over time as a supervisor. I say to my staff, imagine you had your wife and children looking at what you do on a daily basis. The basic duty to take a human being out of a cell, take him to a shower, make sure he has a bath, then take him to form a line and to collect his food, and then perhaps other duties like go to court, come back, go to clinic, come back, and then put them back in a cell. That is not too glorifying. You know what is glorifying? That you can show your family what you do. When I have a conversation with an inmate, and I can motivate that person to be like me or to be remorseful for his bad lifestyle, I think that's glorifying. I think that's what your family could be proud of you, what you go to work to do. Now, given that not all officers may have all that skill, given that not all of us work in a department that allows you to do that, but if that is your mindset, then you can be more happy on the job. A vision I have for the prison service is that we will be an elite division, that people want to break down our doors and come to the prison service. And they did that last year for recruitment. 12,000 persons came, more women than men. It had to be, of course, they want employment, but hearing for the years gone by that officer being assassinated and so on, apparently for the past 2 years, in their eyes, their perspective, things would have changed. So in a nutshell, that's what I can say for the infrastructure and the prison and so on.
All right, well, that's fair enough. I mean, I don't think, as you mentioned, you can only work with what you have, and unfortunately, it's not politically expedient to spend resources on persons who are deemed to be criminals and the dregs of society. So you have to work with what you have. But just to touch very briefly on, before we bring in our special guests, on that.
Let me just say the special guests. This is I think this is the first time you have a lot of firsts under your belt, Commissioner, because we have outside waiting to come in. We have personnel from some of them from Rise Maximum Radio, some of them from in the system. I'm talking about inmates or what the word clans. I think never really caught on as much even with society, but they refer to them to as clients. Now they are here to speak about the commissioner's tenure, how they felt about him, and just to wish him all the best. Now that's that to me, this is a first we have seen. We've interviewed past commissioners before, and we've never had prisoners come and testify or even speak about their experience under this commissioner. So we're going to have that happening in a while. So we have Natasha there on our side, we have another young lady, and then we have Andrew Douglas, Trotman, you name it, they're right outside. Of course, the commissioner made sure that he have his security team here as well, so we don't have to worry, and I'm sure they're not going to disappoint. So we have that to come in a short while. So you were saying?
Yes, just before we do that, I wanted the commissioner to speak a little bit to the role of the prison service as an institution in the criminal justice system, and how do you navigate that very precarious position that you're in between criminal justice, i.e. the courts, and law enforcement, and keeping people focused on your role, because it's very easy to blame the prison for a lot of the problems that you see, when in fact those problems are caused elsewhere.
All right, Natasha, I can go down an academic road and tell you about our 5 strategic priorities and what we do for society and all that, right? But I want to say something more meaningful. Persons who have been found guilty or who have been alleged to have committed a crime are sent to the prison. So there are 2 categories: those who have been found guilty and those who go into court still and they haven't gotten bail. So they are innocent until proven guilty. So the ones who are convicted in the prison right now, they are very manageable. And remind me to tell you why they are manageable, right? They're very manageable. And according to the philosophy of punishment and deterrent, coming to prison as a punishment, not for punishment, but coming to prison as a punishment where there are certain privileges are denied, and one is freedom of movement. So coming to the prison, you come there for a period of time by the court, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. When others hear that, so that's a deterrent to them. And that particular person is incarcerated, so they can't commit any other crime for that period of time. That's one part of the role of the prison service. The Unconvicted, those who go into court, well, they are kept at the prison because we must have a space to keep people when their matters are going on, and the prison is the place to keep them. They have to be treated differently because they are innocent until proven guilty. And in a way, that is a deterrent too for those who want to commit crime, because, I mean, we can play the innocent or guilty game and be technical and so on. I, as commissioner, saying that a large number of persons who are alleged to be guilty would have lived a negative lifestyle. Let me just backtrack and speak properly here. So while I'm saying innocent until proven guilty, a lot of them have lived bad lifestyles and have done a lot of wrong things. So may not have been guilty of what the police hold you for, but you're guilty of other things. And when I push forward is come off of this denial, admit where you are, and admit you need help, or admit that the life you have been living before is not the right one. So, you're in the prison system now. The other half of the prison, the hold and treat. So we hold you now to treat you. We have to find ways to get into your mind, to get into your head, to make you remorseful for what you do, and not to want to reoffend. So a man might tell us, just for argument's sake, okay, so I don't want to do crime anymore, but I don't have any skills and I can't get work anywhere. So in the prison, we give you trades that are marketable and employable skills. The basic trade, masonry, carpentry, welding, joinery, whatever, even landscaping, because we have inmates doing landscaping, using waka and things and so on. So we train you marketable skills. How do we get into your minds? So we have you sit in a class and we teach you the way we think, anger management, parenting skills, whatever. We have YTEP coming to the prison. We have other NGOs that do a fantastic job in treating marketable skills. But we need to do something more. We need to really do the counseling and the case management to individualize the help. Because just like national programs, there's an abundance of programs out there to assist the youth. But somebody has to let them know that, make it relevant. And in the prison system, I am pushing the word love. I am pushing the concept love. If you introduce love into their hearts, that's the inmate population, love that they may not have had in abundance. There have been so much of bitterness and hurt in their lives that they push love away. If in the prison system we have you captured, and I use that word deliberately, captured, we can influence you negatively or positively. The negative things happen indirectly or unconsciously or unwillingly. The positive influence can be done positively. So we have a lot of faith-based organizations come to the prison and they teach love from their religious doctrine. But my staff have to understand this, buy into this too, and also speak the language of love.
Commissioner, let me ask this question. Now, I hear that, but how do we treat with the officer and the inmate who are in the remand section, where you have people on remand? I mean, we always hear figures, 15, 18, 20. You might be best to tell us what's the highest we have on remand right now. But how you expect an officer to reach someone on remand after all those years? They can't see a judge's face, they can't see a magistrate's face, and they're just living and waiting for that moment, and it's going on for years. How are you dealing with that, and how your men and women dealing with that?
We deal with that by pushing the reality that you're living here. We live in here together under the same roof. Let's find a way to coexist until betterment can come.
Yeah, well, you mama guy, me man, you could still go to and party, you could still go to and lime, you could still go you could still go to a movie. I only limited to JFC. What you tell about we living under the same roof?
No, but that is reality. So try to get out now. so let me take get out of it. And when I come here to work, you and I shouldn't have no negativity, right? I want to guarantee you that I doing my job and giving you what the government say they give you and nothing more. Inmates respect that. Inmates detest double standard. They detest being abused. And when they are punished, but sometimes they have to be punished. We have rules and regulation, and we have doctrines that identify what punishment for what crime. It has to be explained to them, and they accept that from me. I mean, it's something like a pie in the sky. It is not when I award punishment to inmates. I feel funny even saying it. They smile and tell me thank you. There are times they appeal the punishment from the superintendent. So we have appeal and so on. So the punishment given by the superintendent is appealed by the inmate. When the inmate comes to me, sometimes I increase the punishment. But I explain to the inmate why it has to be done and why the offense he did cannot be tolerated, that other inmates looking on. And when I award the punishment, I am happy. The inmate is happy. Officers are wrong. We chuckle and laugh. The inmate laughing, and it's a happy session. He can do his punishment. And that is restorative justice at work. In repairing the harm done, having the offender feel remorseful and moving forward. And inmates have never come before me twice for doing a wrong thing.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we have in studio with us Acting Commissioner of Prisons Deopersad Ramoutar, who is, well, yeah. So we have some surprises for him here, and we have some friends dropping in to say, to say hello and to tell you what they thought. No, these are inmates, and they have their take on this commissioner, and in comes our first guest, Natasha. You can stand by the mic here. This is your mic, so everybody using this mic. So pull it up to you, and Natasha De Leon. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And because we have to be having a fast turnover this morning, so
yes.
They love the commissioner, boy. So Natasha, you had the opportunity because I met you with the commissioner in Prison Radio.
Yes.
And so tell us what you think about Commissioner Ramoutar as he prepares to leave.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to say that you will be truly missed, because you have set a trend that is beyond anything that we have actually think about or even thought that will actually take place. Actually, he broke the history, by actually creating a lot of things that we as women, I should say, I could speak for the women because a lot of them want to say it and they can't, right? But the method that he actually created children visit to the point where it was there, but the method that he opened it where we could actually get a meal from our families and bring children, and not only just at young age, but even as adults, you could still come back and cross and bridge the gaps that was actually opened. And in doing so, it started to teach us to, how to be better mothers, friends, how to be able to, as change, as individuals, how to approach life from a different perspective. I would say that because I know that throughout my tenure in the system, there are after past commissioners, I could see the reason why that I have a fondness deeply in my heart for Mr. Ramoutar is because of the fact that I like the fact that you could be a man of integrity and you're not just talking the talk, but you actually walk it. And to know that you could be uppish but you as a commissioner of prison and still could come down to the point where you could actually embrace us and see to make us change and know that we have value and worth, because not the fact that we are inmates, but that we are human beings, and there is substance within us, and there's something within us that we could capitalize on and become better individuals. And I could say that we are agent for change, and because of you, Mr. Ramoutar, I could sincerely say you have made a difference in our life as inmates.
Natasha, before you make me cry here this morning, who we have here now?
Thank you, Natasha.
Well, we love you.
Melissa Thomas. Then we come back to Natasha. You have some paper there. You have
yes, I did this last night.
All right, good. So we give you a chance to go through that. There's one paper, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Pleasant good morning, teacher and everyone that's locked on. You know, Mr. Ramoutar have been a father figure to a lot of us. You know, the mere fact that he looks beyond our charge and see us as individuals that, you know, they say when you're sick, you just go to a doctor, you know, and he has doctored and nursed a lot of us back to good health. You know, the society is an unforgiving thing, and we as inmates, we are stereotypes, you know, and going through all of that within the system and seeing how the system really runs, he came and he brought a whole different trend to the place. He brought a love with his humility, and he just take us from one point to another. You know, a lot of people have lost hope. And when I mean lost hope, you know, I will speak on behalf of the lifers. The lifers, you know, were there for years. And, you know, he still saw that, listen, these people has made that change. So if I could see it within them, the only thing I could do is to try to show to society that, listen, these people need a second chance. And that's all people need in their life at time, you know. They need somebody to believe in them. And that's what he did for us. He believed in us, and as he believed in us, we got more confidence in ourselves. So we don't want to let him down. I don't want to ever let him down. He has done a lot for me, and I really do love him, and I will miss him.
Yes, and you know, one thing I want to add on to that, right? You know that it's CD radio station. Gats, I know that you are the founder, and you all, Miss Sinclair as well too. But what we did is put a soul. You know, what you created, but he finished putting the icing. And, you know, it is so instrumental because of the fact that we go out to schools, and through his expertise, I should say, you know, he instilled in us that the see that not just as we go into schools to just speak, but we go into people, individuals who we trying to deter from doing the same things or mistakes that we had made. So what we do is that the knowledge that he had given to us, what we do is go into these schools and try to impart it so that others would not make the same mistakes. And because of this, Mr. Ramoutar, I know plenty of you may not like your style, but everybody had their own unique way. And I always say, I do not envy the person who had to go in your chair, because we is one power. A lot of us know. I'm watching a series right now, and you realize that we is one power.
They don't know how to
but when we
that
get into that power, the question mark is, are we willing to make a ruling or decisions without fear or favor?
If you're just joining us, that's the voice of Natasha De Leon, who, you know, have no stranger to I-95 here. She has been here many times, and we have Natasha and Melissa. We're gonna keep you all right here for the aesthetic purposes of the studio, but we have other people coming in to give their testimony. But you have something to read.
Yes, I want to say this to you, because last night.
But I just said aesthetics. God. You're so beautiful looking.
Yeah, boy.
I dress up and so on.
Yes.
That's one of the things I introduce in this for women too. Cosmetics, beauty products, braids, everything. They can have that now, because I know women we know women like to dress up.
Yeah. Yes.
And it helps them with their self-esteem and all that, looking good, feeling good about yourself. So that's not a privilege, but if they behave badly, it is taken away.
Yes.
So but all inmates now, the ruling is that they can dress up.
Well, you know, bring armtels.
I did notice that, you know, what the last time I visited.
We close with that.
Yes.
Right? Yes, because Natasha, you said, yes, so bring armtels, still bring the next person in. But we'll close off with that, so I have my tissue standby and everything, so that you can. But Commissioner, you know, so what you'll do, you will, we will just let them use this mic here, right?
I will stay here.
You sure?
Yeah, so let them sit and talk.
All right, yeah, because we tell everybody they have 3 minutes to say what they have to say about the commissioner. The men come in, so who we having first? And if you're just joining us, folks, you're listening to Dependency, and we are having a nice farewell here this morning for Acting Commissioner of Prison. So who do we have in front of the microphone? Yeah, take your seat and tell us your name.
Good morning.
Commissioner trying to shake your hand, you're manging. You're right. No,
that's his orderly.
Right, so tell us who you are, sir.
Good morning. My name is John Smith.
John Smith, and
yes, sir.
What's your location? Where you coming from?
I am at the MSP prisons.
Right. Remand or
Remand, yeah, I'm on the remand.
How long have you been remanded for?
I've been on the remand for 13 years.
13 years?
Yes, sir.
You're still to go to court.
Still waiting for
Still
court.
right. So, but you met Mr. Ramoutar, you've, noticed how he did business. Tell us what you think.
Daddy boss. Well, for a long time, I've been in and out of prison a few times, but I never really get the message. Was sharing till I meet Mr. Ramoutar. He's the man really give me the chance and the opportunity to make something of myself when nobody else didn't want to take the chance.
In what way did he do that?
Well, he took chances in me. He gave me an opportunity to work at the barber shop. Even though I was charged for a capital offense, and they say that is a high risk inmate. He gave me the opportunity to go to schools and speak to children on the mentoring team with these two ladies here and a few others.
Right.
And he put trust in me and he believed in me, and the support, everything else, he just helped me.
So you're a Rasta man working at the barber shop?
Yeah. That's the power he has.
And he's also given up his seat for this prisoner, and I don't want to take that lightly. I think that is a very
that is what we're talking about. Because you see,
my father, he's a man on the ground with
that's what we keep trying to tell people. They do, everybody have their way, but I always believe that love
conquers all.
Yeah.
And two, there is tough love. Sometimes love, because if love giving you just being smooth all the time, you need to check yourself too.
Yeah.
I mean, just like God, He does punish. Just like God, He will give us. I mean, let's be real. So at the end of the day, yes, people make mistakes. Yes, every decision may not be how we want it. We're not saying because He just give us all that we want to know. No, because at times when we get, we good share from Him too. I mean, but we understand at the end of the day it's for a greater cause. And once we understand that, it takes a lot.
So, and you all go to mentor, and right now the schools need you all.
Of
so
course.
We try our best.
So what do you like to say to the commissioner now? Let us.
Well, I would just like to say to the commissioner, thanks for everything that he has done for me personally and the general population at large. He's a man in just this talk from up in the office. He's come down on the ground and deal within a level. A level is make we feel like we people again, plenty of we make mistakes in the life, but plenty of we trying to change. Most of we trying to change really is just really a few people just make the whole thing look bad, but it's not everybody. The average man in prison really want to change and try a new thing at life.
Right, so what's your name again?
John Smith, sir.
John Smith, we want to thank you so much for your time here. So
you're welcome, sir.
And to the seat now.
That is not a problem.
And yeah, man, respect.
Love and respect for
all the time. All right, so that was one remanded inmate there, giving his testimony on his, and we have at the microphone now Mr. Andrew Douglas. Andrew Douglas,
no stranger again.
Dependency and I-95.
So it's Rise Maximum Radio in the house.
Yes. One of the foundation members. But we have two foundation members right now.
Yes.
Natasha and Andrew.
Yeah,
Andrew,
from
morning.
2012. Good morning, God.
Tell us one time about the commissioner.
Well, the commissioner to me is like my father. I knew him since I think 2 years in the service before I came into the system, and he was a welfare officer. And there are people in life you just connect to, and he always used to encourage me, motivate me, enlighten me, give me that strength. Sometimes you want to give up, and you say, "Hold on, God have a purpose for you." So to me, he's like my father. He's like my brother and my best friend, and he has been extremely good to me. I have nothing bad to say. I love him.
Yeah,
I love him. Yeah.
No, well, I mean, I met him at Rise too. That's the first time when I met Mr. Ramoutar. I said that earlier when I met him at Rise, and he welcomed me too. He was never had an air about him, and so
a beautiful soul.
You know what? My mother always said, you never remember what somebody do for you, but you'll always remember how they treated you.
Yes.
How they make you feel.
Yeah, and he's a people's person. You could have go to him and speak to him any problem you have, any situation, anything. You could go to him and speak to him. And between you and I, wish he had some more time with us because he want to make some changes.
You're not the only person, everybody. Listen, you don't know how the prison right now. I can speak for ladies at women prison. We are really heartbroken because we are losing someone that we hold very dear to our hearts.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
he has done so much for so many of us, Mr. Gat, that you know, if mere words can't really express that.
Yeah. And I mean, added to that, I pray that you know, even though he is leaving, he's still not leaving, because we have a lot of work to do, and we are his product. Yeah. We are his product, and we have visions. There are things that we would like to do as inmates and ex-inmates in order for transformation of the prison system.
You stay here now because you're a radio man, so
thank you.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we're having a nice little farewell session here for Miss Deopersad Ramoutar. And next up on the microphone, I just let's tell you his name. Another product of Rise Maximum Radio Early Dispensation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, and good morning to, of course, everybody here, and especially to our listening audience, locally, regionally, internationally.
And your name is?
I'm Gerjadat Supersad. Remember that, Gerjadat Supersad.
Nice to meet you, brother. So you, as I said, you're one of the early graduates of Rise Maximum Radio, but you went on to do other things in the prison. And tell us quickly what you think about the commissioner and your time spent with him.
Well, you know, it is really a pleasure always to be talking about Mr. Ramoutar, because I have known Mr. Ramoutar over 35 years. And it is one of the gentlemen you cannot speak just a little about. Yeah. Because there is so many things to talk about Mr. Ramoutar. And it is like you're trying to fit a jalita into a chubby. It can't fit no how. But it is my pleasure this morning to be here to just briefly talk about Mr. Ramoutar. And I always say that Mr. Ramoutar, when I was brought to prison 39 years ago, and I had the privilege to meet Mr. Ramoutar when I was in death row. He was one of the gentlemen who has actually shaped my life and the person that I am today. Mr. Ramoutar, when he came to the prison, when he joined the work with a good heart. So it wasn't really strange or difficult for him to continue to be the person he came in the prison with. Now, as I speak to you, I have achieved a number of things in prison, but it is all because of Mr. Ramoutar, who has encouraged me. The first time I saw Mr. Ramoutar was on death row. And yes.
You were on death row, not
I
him.
was on death row, not him. Yeah, he was working death row. and you know, being in prison was one thing, but being in prison, in a foreign prison, was something else, of course, you know, Magaines. So Mr. Ramoutar, he saw this young man, and in those days it was very challenging to be in prison and as a young person. And he saw this young man, and he came, the first time he spoke to me, I can remember that day very clearly in my mind as I speak now. And he asked about my circumstances. But in those days, of course, we could not have spoken much about those situations. So then we began to talk about other things. And he told me, and I always remember this, he said, keep on trusting, keep on praying, be positive, focus. Those were the words. And he always encouraged me to read. Keep on reading, keep on, you know, try to do positive things. On that row, you can't do too many things. The only thing you can do on that row is to read a lot.
But now you're in charge of your library, you still do that?
I do that. I do that because, you know, I mean, reading is one of the things you can get out of the prison.
Yes.
You know, you travel out of the prison, so you experience different world, experiences and so on.
Yes.
So, you know, talk about Mr. Ramoutar here this morning. It is always a pleasure to talk about Mr. Ramoutar. As I said, you cannot just speak about Mr. Ramoutar in 10 minutes.
So what's your wish for Mr. Ramoutar?
Now that he's going, quite frankly, all of us share the same sentiment. We're going to miss him. That is one thing we're going to do. We're going to miss him tremendously. And what I want to do, Mr. Ramoutar, is that I want to wish you all the best in your retirement. You know, someone once said, when you retire from your job, you get back your life. So all the things that you were planning to do while you were working, I hope that you're now going to get the opportunity to do those things. I know that you're going to have a lot to do. I wish you all the best. I wish you long life, success. And I'm hoping that we are going to meet again when you're gone. And you are going to leave a legacy. And this morning I'm telling you that those who will be coming after you, I hope that person will be able to fit your shoes, which is a very big shoes to fit, quite frankly, because you're leaving something that it will really take someone with a good heart, with a good mind, and who really want to see changes in the life of people. You have invested in human being. What you have seen in us is a good thing, a good person. You have never treated us like prisoners. And that is one thing we do appreciate and will be thankful for all the time. Because, as I said the other day, and I always quote this, Maya Angelou, they say people are going to forget what you said, people are going to forget what they did, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And that is what you did. You made us feel like a human being. And that is what we're going to remember about you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so kindly, everybody.
Take care. All right, and that was...
Good to that.
Good to that. Good to that. And we have Bulan Trotman here now with us. Trotty.
Pleasant.
How you do?
Just peaceful.
Tell us about the commissioner.
Words are useless when things are
already
known. You know, but what I must say is that...
How long have you been in prison now, by the way?
Going in 40 years.
40 years?
Yeah.
Wow. You went there as well?
Huh? Yeah, I was on that road. There is the first place I met this honorable gentleman.
Right.
And it wasn't easy. You know, knowing as a young man, 9 days after he turned 23, they sentenced you to be executed.
Mm-hmm.
So that put in an aggressive mood. But after discussing with this gentleman here, you know that you know what people say is, and you have qualities, and you could be a better person, not because you're on that road, I said, Churchy. So I wanted to see if he was serious. So I decided to challenge him. So I used to oppose him real good, with aggression. Until he come and let me know, well, boy, I'm exercising. If you feel it's just so you get in right. And I get to love him more for that. But what I must say here, and I mean this, right, all the commissioners that I have seen before him, starting with R.T. Charles, to Deopersad, Ramoutar, what I would say is that what I have seen is done in all the years in prison is the first commissioner, the person that sit in that chair, that his officers could leave after taking the charge and go home to the family and walk without looking over their shoulder. And I told him that if it's one thing for his tenure and the legacy that he's leaving, what I want to see for the prison service is that. Because the officers and them who leaving their beautiful wife and loving children to come to the prison to see about me, they love me and they're not even aware of it. So I want goodness for them. And what Mr. Ramoutar was successful in doing was brought a level of understanding between the charge and his officers, so that they were aware that the officers is not responsible for you being where you is. And they have a job to admonish you when you stick. So don't take it personal and go at them. And he was very, very successful in doing that. I know that he's parting. That aspect of it, I won't continue.
Yes.
So there is many pages, and I'd rather those that will be coming after. I just don't want them to take a page, but they take the whole book. Because what he has encouraged us to do is that not just be a better person, but change those around you also in the manner in which you carry yourself.
Yeah.
You know? So, Mr. Ramoutar, this is just the beginning, sir.
Can't forget us when you go out, Nida.
This is just the beginning.
We allow you to do that anyway.
And Mr. Gat,
yes, sir.
Natasha. And Miss Natasha, on this radio station here, you guys will be seeing me again. And what I will be doing when I leave prison, because I'm confident because of the door this gentleman has opened.
Boy, for real.
Because what he had let this country know is that we have people who have been languishing in prison, who have the material to help change what's going on in our society, and we just keep forgetting them.
Forgotten our society.
You know, so when you send somebody in prison, it's to correct them and prepare them for reintegration. And Mr. Ramoutar in his tenure didn't fail for 1 second in that area. But when he done prepare people and send them back out, people fail to acknowledge.
So your best wishes for Mr. Ramoutar?
My best wishes for Mr. Ramoutar is for you to continue growing as he is. Just be you, and that will take you through life. I don't know him to be a person playing games, and I don't believe he will start now. Mr. Ram, your tenure and the legacy has left I know many had said it before, but it's real. There is no shoe, there is more than a shoes. What it takes is being real, sir. And again, I want to say, your predecessor, I hope they take the book. Because it's not about just punishment and punish and punish. It's about helping somebody to understand the strengths and weaknesses and preparing them for when they leave home. And that's what you have done successfully, sir. So, I want to wish you and your family continuous blessings. And again, I want to say it's just a beginning. Yes. We love you and will continue to love you. And you register on everybody heart. Trust me, I'm sure about that. So those who may not like you is because they don't like realness. Mr. God, yes. You think there is something we can do so our prison commissioner could also get extension like the police?
Yeah.
I feel that that's some way for you.
You're actually wrong, man, but that'd be a good idea.
You know, so it's about having the persons to get the job done. This is what is important.
I mean, I am sure that, the gentleman who will assume the position, he has been in programs for quite a while. He has done a lot of things like the sycamore tree, and I mean, I've known his journey too as well, as one who, did a lot of trying to transform people's lives. So I have no doubt that, of course, he may have a different style, but I'm sure that he would carry on the tradition. Let's hope he will, right? But I think at this stage here, Mr. Ramoutar has come to the end of his relay, and he has to pass the baton. So, but we wish him all the best. This is a nice send-off he getting here this morning, and whole week it has been going on.
Yes, so as not to spoil any further surprises for the commissioner, we want to invite one of his officers to speak on his behalf.
It was nice.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, bless.
Thanks for that. Take care, man.
You too.
So the only reason why you're not seeing a more familiar face in his chair is because they don't want to spoil the surprise coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have a next surprise? If you just,
not today, but
if you're just joining us, you listen to Dependency, and we are having a nice little farewell session here for Mr. Deopersad Ramoutar. It turns into a bigger party than we thought. But officer, right?
Yes.
Yes, can you identify?
Pleasant. Good morning. Yes. I am Denish Basanta, currently at Thatcher Radio Station of MSP. Yes, I'd say something good about the commissioner and right.
Something good about the commissioner.
Yeah, I understand.
How you feel about the commissioner? Because if you find the commissioner didn't treat you right, you feel free to say that,
Mr. Ramoutar, since taking office, has touched a lot of persons in terms of officers and inmates, in terms of how we carry about his duties on a daily basis. So he have done the best he can with what he have, because resources, as we know, is limited. For me, he had significant stuff that he did that directly influenced me. I wouldn't list some of them, but they are mostly positive. And for a young officer like myself, I can look up to him to be an officer similar to him in the future.
Right, so and of course, you, as working at the radio station too, you would have seen his input in making that the reality to continue as it going.
Yes, his legacy should and will be carried on.
Alright, so what do you wish for the commission?
I wish, well, as I said, this is only part of his journey. This chapter has come to an end, so he will embark on another chapter in his life. I hope the many best for him and all the blessings.
Before you go, sir, is there any feeling among officers of your rank that you too can attain the rank of commissioner?
Well, everything is possible. You just have to do the city exams, do the proper studies, and hope to aspire to that dream.
Officer, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for your service as well as you continue to serve Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
So is this my wrapping up time here now?
Yes.
Yes.
Which one now?
Well,
First, I'd like to say this, right? This is your favorite song. And it's a piece of your song, right? And I want to leave the words with you before I get into what I really want to close off with. Don't lose the grip on the dreams of your past. You must fight just to keep them alive. It's the eyes of a tiger. It's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor watches his prey in the night, and he watches us all with the eyes of a tiger. Those words familiar to you?
Papi, you.
Mr. Ramoutar, our father, our heart, our motivational guidance, our role model. You have defined an ambitious agenda that has made the Trinidad and Tobago prison service truly indispensable to restorative justice and human dignity. And as prison food had and continue to aid our bodies in prolonged life, so your heart and God-fearing spirit had fueled us on the inside. You, Mr. Ramoutar, have strengthened us with the willpower to become achieving individuals, to change by adapting to a more holistic approach towards life. My debt to your courage and vision is immeasurable. I resolve exclusively to build upon your legacy, not only for myself and family, but for a wider community and a society I would return to someday. Thank you for walking like a fierce warrior, like a tiger you are, yet coming down to the touch and transform the minds and hearts of us on the inside who had once lost hope for a great leader. Thank you, Mr. Ramoutar.
All right. So, there you have it, folks. Mr. Ramoutar, you all right?
What can I say more than thank you. I'm very, very touched. In psychology, you call this emotional stroking of the person. It feels good. It's a glorifying feeling to have good things be said about you. But this isn't really about me, who I am at home. This is me about who I am on the job. And these are from clients, from persons who society think that prison is a negative place. If so much of love can be generated in the prison, then the country has something to learn from us. The country has a lot to learn from the interaction, the positive interaction between officers and inmates, inmates and inmates, and officers and officers. I think spirituality has a lot to do with it. I think just try this thing called love. There's love in all different dimensions. Try this thing called love. It's nice. It tastes nice. Try it.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we just had prisoners come through and give their testimony of their time with Mr. Ramoutar, and also Mr. Ramoutar himself, being here with us this morning. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we take some of your calls as we prepare to wrap up this wonderful segment this morning. I'm really touched by all the sentiments and testimonies here this morning. I'm sure you listening to us on Dependency, Facebook, and YouTube are joining us, or on radio I-95.5 FM. Morning to you, Heather, out there in Toronto, Canada. Out there in Canada, Heather and husband, who listen to us every Sunday. Those of you in Canada. And Brooklyn, good morning to you. And even Grenada too, and Jamaica. Hey, like you all heard prison commissioners coming this morning. So man, let's go to a break. And when we return, we take some calls and we wrap up with Commissioner Ramoutar. Really a nice, touching segment here this morning. Stay right there, folks. We'll be back.
Calling all young voices. Calling all young voices. The Ministry of National Security Counter-Trafficking Unit presents Voices Against Human Trafficking, a spoken word competition in commemoration of World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2024. We invite all secondary school students, forms 2 to 4, across Trinidad and Tobago to join the fight with your powerful words. Submit your 5-minute spoken word pieces by Friday, June 7th, 5 p.m. Top prizes include an iPhone 15, iPad Air, and Beats headset. Plus, there's also a People's Choice Award. Submissions should be in video format, accompanied by a written script sent to countertraffickingunit@gmail.com. Let's raise our voices and ensure no child is left behind. For more information, contact the CTU at 627-1339. Approved by the Ministry of Education.
Slavery, a terrible time in our history. The kidnapping, buying and selling of people for profit, the exploitation of another human being. It still exists today. It has a new name: human trafficking. Anyone can be a victim. There is forced labor, sexual exploitation, and domestic servitude. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem and an emerging concern for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. If you know of or suspect human trafficking activity, call the Counter-Trafficking Hotline at 800-4CTU or 800-4288. Human trafficking is a crime. Identify it, report it, stop it. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Is reality radio at its best. Eye on Dependency on I-95.5 FM.
Thank you so much for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency. We are 15 minutes away from 12 noon, and we have in studio some inmates who are weeping
Imagine that,
at the thought, at the prospect of the departure of the Commissioner of Prisons, who we have in studio, Mr. Ramoutar. A really powerful sentiments being expressed here by inmates themselves who have testified to the kind of treatment, the kind of regard, the kind of affection that this commissioner has shown to them. And you know, the tears are just evidence of how much they're going to.
Well, we promised to take some calls, so we have someone on the line already. Good morning.
Good morning.
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 Congratulations to Mr. Ramoutar. It has been very touching that the inmates and fellow officers paying tribute to you. But one question I would like to ask you: while coming up in the ranks, which of the 3 locations you were most comfortable with? Is it, would you say it's down at down the island? However, thank you.
Commissioner?
I'm not too sure I understand his question, but I was comfortable in all stations. My first 7 years was in Port of Spain, and that would have given me the strength to carry on.
Okay.
Because that, is, in most people's eyes, is probably the most difficult station to be on.
Hello, good morning, Garth, Natasha, the goodly panel.
Good morning.
All the inmates and Mr. Ramoutar. Did I pronounce it properly?
Yes.
Yeah, brother. You know, just come here. Regulars allow me here. hear this now. I was attracted to that brother with the interview with the jailbreak. How he handled it. Everybody was going off on a tangent and everybody was singing, and he just come out and one interview pacify all the nonsense. So I was attracted to his skills in, you know, how he communicated with the public. And I was going to make a joke recently when there was this skiff with the commissioner of police, and I was going to say, hey, I have a candidate for you, know, Mr. Deopersad, and up comes along. Serious, he could be a police commissioner in this country.
Well, he did try to be a police officer. Huh?
Well, seriously, yes. But commissioner, he has the temerity to be a commissioner. I don't want to lose my train of thought, to be a commissioner right now. And oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. But I am impressed. There is hope, right? There's it here. Because remember, they sent up the pension age or the retirement age to 65, so we could probably force a 5 years again out there, if you understand what I say. I think there is hope that he could run a little 5 years again. And also, I just want to say to the goodly gentleman, I don't want that coming out of public, because there is hardly anyone, from hearing you this morning, there's hardly anyone that puts forward pronunciation with such character, if you understand. So I think you are needed in public life, you are needed in the reform life, and I do hope that you find an avenue. There's an institution that you could join, but I wouldn't go there, right? There's an avenue I do hope there's an avenue where you continue to put forward your skills, knowledge, and wisdom that was portrayed in this very short interview. 1,000 years of benevolence expressed in all your words, brother, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm not trying to impress nobody. Have a nice day.
All right,
happy retirement to you, but yeah, have 5 years, because they send up the pension is about 5 years.
All right, take care.
Thank you. And he's not the only one who's expressed that. A couple of people have asked for an extension on your contract.
On Facebook and YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, good morning to each and everyone in there.
Good morning,
Mr.
good morning.
Ramoutar, good morning to you. Hello?
Yes, we're hearing
Yes,
you.
morning, morning.
Right, yes, good morning to you. Mr. Ramoutar, thank you for work well done. You understand me? And what I appreciate you for, how you interact with those prisoners in there, right? You know, I like the way how, like, every Sunday, they have this program, male and female come out on the station, you know. Although they're in there, there's not everything had lost with them, you know, as they're still being recognized. And I would like to see it continue, you all. I would like to see it continue, especially in the women prison. Right?
Yes.
Recently, you had Jamie on the station there, right?
Yes.
And she has a lot of knowledge, you know. And if you all could have a program like, listen to her, you know, that she could be the person who will lead the others inside of there. And then on the male side, I heard you had another guy there too, you know. So I mean, Mr. Ramoutar, well done, and thank you a lot again, okay?
Okay, man.
Thank you. I accept your appreciation. Thank you very much.
Take care. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Sinclair. Morning. I couldn't let us pass this morning, Mr. Ramoutar. God, Natasha, what did your mother tell you? God, you won't remember what.
You never remember you may not remember what someone do for you, but you'll always remember how they treated you.
How people treat
How they made you feel.
Yes, how they made you feel. That's why I'm so emotional. Mr. Ramoutar and the inmates and stuff, if you don't love, you don't nothing. That's what it boils down to. At the end of the day, before all your accolades, all your money, all your degrees, more than a thermometer. If you don't have love, you could have money as tall as Nicholas Tower. You don't have love, you don't have nothing, because we're here for a time. And that was his contribution that he had to make. And may God bless him, and may he go on to better things. And I hope that people are listening in authority. But this isn't about the small man and the common man and woman alone. The way you treat people is very important to human, to people that you are wrong. That's where you make your greatest impact. Not what you think that you give them, and that they must be loyal to you because you give them something or you hand them something. The way you make them feel, that's what leaves the lasting impression in people's lives. So, Mr. Ramoutar, you go Braves, brother, and you stand tall. Mr. Jared Wilson, and you are two commissioners. It started with Mr. Jared Wilson. You all made a serious impact, and you all have woken and alighted the prison for what's outside here. It's So he answer no. Thanks, people. You stay strong, Mr.
Thank you very much, Cola. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Yep, and he's correct. You know, that battle being passed from Mr. Wilson to you was, you know,
tremendous.
Timely.
Yeah, it was tremendous. Yeah, because Mr. Wilson had the same mindset, Mr. Wilson. And Mr. Wilson's still out here doing work. Mr. Wilson, every Friday you can hear Mr. Wilson right here on Project Hope with Ms. Chance. And he's continuing to work with Vision and Mission. So he's part of the real thrust in Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning. Mr. Ramoutar, I want to thank you for your service. And to all the past commissioners of prisons, thank you all. I think we don't say it often enough to our officers who have served.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. Thank you for your service. Now, Mr. Ramoutar, a prisoner told you something, and I want to just touch on it a little, that when they come out, they cannot get jobs. Now, my mother and father always told us, that is why Dr. Eric Williams, he had the great foresight, hence the reason why he had Dude and all these things to employ people when they leave prison. Now the Dude and all the other programs have, you know, they have changed, and I don't know if the prisoners, when they leave prison, able to get employment on these programs. So maybe they need to revisit and go back and keep a little space for prisoners when they come out that they can get jobs. Thank you, and we hope that you continue to make a contribution to Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, ma'am.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Natasha.
Hey, Annette, morning. How are you doing?
Morning to the esteemed, retired prison commissioner, to all the guests that were there, and to the Mr. Hinson. That this, I after a while I realized he's going on for retirement. The man looks so young.
Thank you.
Mr. Ramoutar, I'm wishing you all the best on your retirement. I am a retiree, and I can tell you it could be the best time of your life. Go with God. Continue doing good. You are very humble listening to you, and I just wish you all the best. And you see how much love you have from the prisons there. So that will continue, and your name will be down in the history book of our prison system of Trinidad and Tobago. You and Mr. Wilson. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So whoever calling the WhatsApp, we don't answer the WhatsApp line. I remember that. So I'm sorry that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Sinclair.
Morning.
And the retiring Commissioner of Prisons, Mr. Deopersad Ramoutar. I never knew, as far as about American Secondary 45 years ago, a quiet, very unassuming young man would become an assertive acting commissioner of prisons and a great mediator and member of the mediation board. I am proud of you coming from Faizabad, intermediate, with all the kind of prestige that they associate with that school. You have done us proud, and I am very proud of you. I'm proud of the work you have done, and I wish you all the best. Welcome to the life of retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. That sounds like my fellow teacher. Thank you very much, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Philly St. Clair.
Morning.
Mr. Ramoutar and your children.
Morning.
Mr. Ramoutar boy, it just shows that in what hunger to do better and ambition goes a long way. And most importantly, the greatest thing in life is a person to others what one has learned for oneself and how you make people feel appreciated, one love. So, Mr. Ramoutar boy, big up yourself, big up Faizabad, and I hope that the Ministry of National Security or the Ministry of the Youth grab onto you to pass on to the youths what you have learned, because from what you have described, if you didn't have ambition and that not hunger, you would not reach which that is to bring light to the life of others. So, Mr. Ramoutar, God bless, go forward and continue to help the underprivileged in our society. Thanks very much. One love, safe to home.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. So we have time for one more. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I gotta bring you back just to take phone call, Mr. Ramoutar. The phone line just blowing up here. Hello, good morning.
Panel and to Mr. Ramoutar in particular. I'd like to commend the panel of the Iron Dependency program for bringing this kind of knowledge to the public. Mr. Ramoutar, you have done great. You have institutional knowledge. I would like to recommend, and I hope that those in authority are listening, that Mr. Ramoutar should be part of the training process of young men who are going into the prison service.
I agree with that.
He has a platform on which the young people can be visionary and can continue that dynamic which Mr. Ramoutar has brought to the prisons presently. He must be commended and should be recognized for that model. When you hear inmates are coming in and saying thank you, it is touching, it's emotional. Even CARICOM should use this gentleman at their various prisons, lecturing present prison officers, because it can work in Antigua, it can work in St. Kitts, it can work in Barbados, you name it. What you all have done this morning is put light on that candle that we out there can see what this man has done. If you did not do that, it would have gone unknown to the public. Mr. Ramoutar, job well done. And let's hope this is a comma.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
God bless. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You've done a good job.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So with the final words, go to the outgoing Commissioner of Prisons. Your parting words, that's this morning.
On the humorous side, I use humor a lot. I didn't pay anybody anything to say anything good about me. That's on the humorous side. I accept all the appreciation and expression of gratitude. I accept it wholeheartedly. I will continue being who I am, and yes, wherever I am, I'll do my best. I'm feeling enriched and really, really blessed and empowered this morning, hearing all those positive things being said about me and my stewardship. And I know those who are listening on, they can use that as an example. So we need to create 10,000 more of me or what I stand for out there, Trinidad and Tobago. I love you all. I love my inmates, and I do love my officers too. Thank you very much. God.
Thank you, sir.
Natasha, I love you.
Love you too, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Yes.
We have come to the end of it this morning, folks, but we have major news coming up next at 12 with Onika James, who is in studio already. So, Commissioner, God bless you. And we'll meet again.
Yes, thank you.
For sure.
Yes.
All right, so thanks a lot.
Broadcasting from Port of Spain, Trinidad, this is the most influential name in radio. I-95.5. Live local coverage you can depend on. This is News Center 5 at noon. Broadcasting from Port of Spain, Trinidad, this is the most influential name in radio. I-95.5. Live local coverage you can depend on. This is News Center 5 at noon.
A female Gasparilla resident is the country's latest road fatality. UNC MP Rushton Parry launches his United Patriots slate for the upcoming internal elections of the United National Congress. Teen killed in police confrontation after drive-by identified. And in India, at least 27 people die in massive fire at a games arcade. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I am Unika James. Here's what's making your news to the hour. A 28-year-old female driver is dead following an early morning crash in Marabella. Reports say